Welcome. Welcome to another edition of the Power Talks for Remarkable Females. I am Helena de Munk. I'm your host. I'm a transformation guide for smart, conscious, and high achieving women. And I'm always looking out for amazing women to co create an edition of Power Talks. And today I'm here with Anna Trager from the south of France, which is not so far from me because I'm tuning in from the south of Spain. So, welcome, Anne. I am thrilled to have you here. Let's do like a short introduction. Nobody can do that better than you. So, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Helena. I'm really glad to be here, and I appreciate that you've invited me on. I am founder of the Potentializer Academy. I'm completely obsessed with human potential, and I help high achievers reclaim their time, energy, and focus so they can have intentional impact.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, I hope that you are all here looking for what do you call it? Hacks, stacking hacks, stackable hacks for badass women leaders, because this is what we are going to do today. I'm just checking here because my live stream keeps sending me notifications that I don't need. Here I am. I'm all yours again. So, if you have questions, if you have feedback, if you have anything that you want to share in a nice way, please, then use the comments. We will monitor the comments. We will have you here answer everything that you need to be answered. Also, if you are watching the replay, you can ask your questions or send your feedback in the comments because we will monitor it. If you haven't done so yet, connect with me, connect with Anne on LinkedIn so you have direct access to everything that we bring. And there's a lot of free stuff, a lot of valuable content free stuff that we offer each in our areas. So connect with us on LinkedIn and make sure that you are in the loop of whatever we're doing. Anne, where do you want to start with?
I would love to start with a question. So, if you were a superhero called Captain Habit, okay, what would your signature move or superpower be based on your most consistent daily habit? Because today we're talking about habits and how you hack them. So, Helena, if you were a superhero called Captain Habit, what would your superpower be?
And I can only mention one.
Oh, you can have several. And anybody who wants to drop their superpower in the comments, please feel free to do.
Yeah, I would say I am the chief of tea ceremonies because this is a habit that I have every morning.
Ah,
I make a
okay.
big can of tea every morning, 1.5 liter. And it's even, maybe I'm going to be a little bit difficult, Anne, because I'm not sure if it's a habit, because for me, it's like a ritual. Because based on what I plan to do that day, I'm not just making tea, I'm making a specialty. It could be mint, it could be
Mhm.
Romero, it could be green tea, it could be
Right.
ginger, whatever.
Oh, I
So
love
you
it.
tell me,
Well,
is that a
well,
habit?
it sounds like a habit and it sounds like a ritual. And a little later on, we will be talking about the difference between those. Okay.
Okay,
Because I
beautiful.
think it's
Yeah,
a really interesting thing.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Well,
tea and what my dog. That's another one.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yours, Anne.
One of mine would be what I call inbox zero vision. I
Oh
always
my
have
God.
0 inbox. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's amazing. I
Yeah.
even went away for 10 days, 0 connection, and I came back to 0 inbox because I had somebody take care of it for me.
Okay.
So, you see, I even delegate my habits. There's some really interesting things to do with habits.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That's a big one. I
yeah.
think that's a challenge for a lot of people. So for the people listening in or watching the replay, let us know if that inbox zero would be like something that you are, what, the
Yeah, Captain Habit. Captain
captain
Habit.
habits, if you
Yeah.
have that on top of your list. Yeah.
So I think habits are a really interesting topic. Did you know that 43% of everything we do in a day is done out of habit? Okay, this has been
Whoa.
studied. There are people who study that. Okay.
People
so,
study habits.
so 43%, that's a huge amount that is done by habit, which got me thinking. I'm all into optimization. It got me thinking that so we should be hacking this and we should really be using this to our advantage. Remarkable women are always looking for ways to be all that more remarkable. So there we go.
Absolutely.
Habits is
Yeah.
one way to do it.
Yeah. Absolutely. We already have Sheila here who says,
Oh,
whoa, I never have zero
right.
inbox. Neither do I. I'm very disciplined on my inbox, but I never have zero inbox. Yeah. But we will find out today. We will find out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, great to see you. Thanks for chiming in, Sheila. What's your superpower, Sheila? So that's why I like to talk about habits. Habits save us energy and they save us time. And just imagine if every time that you had to open a door, you had to think about it, how much
Mhm.
energy you would spend. It's huge. They're a really huge energy saver. And our brains, which are designed to save energy, love habits. Just the brain loves habits.
Mm.
Okay. And I see that Sheila's habit is finding VIP parking. Oh,
I love that.
I want
I
your
love that.
superpower. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a fabulous superpower to have.
Very original also.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
So
Yeah.
not only do brains love habits, but brains don't like to change habits. And I'm sure
Mhm.
that you know all about, and we all know that how hard it is to change a habit once we are in it.
Yeah.
What's your experience, Helena, with habits?
My experience with habits is, like you say, it's very difficult to change them. And even if we are aware that some habits do not serve us anymore,
Mhm.
or are bad for us, it is very difficult to change them. And you can be very intentional about them. And then something happens, and whoop, you're back into these old habits. This is one of
Mhm.
my experiences. Another one is that if you change your situation dramatically, like you move, or for example, a divorce or things like that, some habits disappear. One day
Mm.
you wake up and you say, I had that, especially because I moved from Belgium to Spain. I said, one day I woke up and I said, whoa, I used to do this every day. And now I don't do that anymore. And so there's strange things going on with habits, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting what you say. Habits are impacted by our environment in a big way.
Mm.
Mhm. And so what happens in the brain is that when you have a habit in place, the brain, we all know now, there's been a lot of science and people are talking about it all the time that the brain is plastic, that it keeps changing until the end. Wonderful news.
Yes, I
Except,
like that.
I know it's wonderful. So it means that you can change those habits. However, the brain doesn't like to change habits, which means it
Mhm.
really needs to have a really good reason to do that, okay? So, finding a motivating reason to step into a new habit or to change an old habit is really first on the list of things to do,
Mhm. Yeah.
okay? It's extraordinarily important to have a really motivating reason. I'm gonna talk about it. I have a hack for changing and implementing new habits, which I'll talk about later. The other thing that we need to know in the science front about habits is that they take time.
Mhm.
At the beginning, you always need, if I want to do something in the morning and I'm not doing something in the morning, I'm going to have to force myself out of bed. And then after a while, it becomes easier, right? You've had
Yeah.
that experience before, right? It takes between 18 and 254 days to create a habit. Okay. So anybody who says it's 21 days, not really. It takes about maybe 21 days to get that neural network in place, but it takes an average of 66 days to actually create a habit.
Whoa. Yeah.
So
That's two
that's
months.
something that's really important to keep in mind. So
Mhm.
when you want to break a habit or create a new one, it takes time and it takes commitment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mm. Yeah. So is there a reason why
Mhm.
some habits to install them or to implement or integrate them take, I don't know, 30 days and other might take 200 days? Where's the difference here? Does it exist, or is it depending on the people or the difficulty of the habit, or
I
what
think
makes the
it's all
difference?
of the above. Okay,
Mm,
I think it's all of the above. It can be related to the environment, something you were saying. It can be related to the difficulty of the habit, can be related to any resistance that a person might be having to starting that new habit or breaking that old habit. So there are any number of reasons. BJ Fogg, who is one of the world's leading habit researchers, that's FOGG, he found that starting small predicts more than anything else whether someone will actually establish a habit, okay?
mm,
So if you want to start running in the morning, the idea is not to set yourself the goal of 3 or 5 kilometers. If you've never run before, that's
mm.
too much.
Yeah.
The
Mm,
goal to set is putting on your running shoes and going outside, and
mm,
that's good enough, okay?
mm.
And if you do that enough, then you're gonna say, "Gosh, I have these brand new running shoes and they're bouncy, and boy, they're, the ones that make you run faster," and so you start running, okay?
Yeah.
But so the idea is to really start small, and this is an extraordinary hack, truly. And it's very hard. When I'm working with my clients, I do a lot of work on this because it's hard for people to say, "Oh, I'm going to meditate," and I say, "Okay, great. How much are you going to meditate? 15 minutes." And I said, "No, you're not. No, you're not. Try 2 minutes. Okay, do two
Okay.
minutes first, and then do
Yeah.
2 minutes every day because
Mm.
it's the consistency that is really going to bring the compounding benefits."
Yeah. So it's better to do 2 minutes per day than 15 minutes every 3 or 4 days if your plan is to meditate every day. Yeah.
Exactly,
Mm,
exactly. And then you build your way up once
mm.
you have established.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes
So,
sense.
what kind of challenges do you face when you're building habits? Before I get into my little hack here. Mhm.
Time or
Mhm.
priority, because time
Mhm.
is never the element. I know that. It's like priority, or life happens, something gets in the way. I mean, with the dog, it's different because if I'm not going, she asks.
Oh,
She's
right.
really helping me. So I think a sponsor sometimes is very useful. But it's, for example, in the morning, I do a mantra practice. It's 10 minutes. So it's not that
Mhm.
long. But then if something happens or something comes up or I overslept or whatever, this is the first thing that goes, right?
Mm.
Because it is the priority I give. Okay, my clients are more important. I'm not going to have them wait. They booked this appointment at that time, or like today, I started a challenge and everything went out at 7. So I had to be online at 7 in order to see if everything was there. And then my 10 minutes didn't happen. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, we'll talk about that a little bit later. I have some things that I can bring in about routines, and then what do you do when the routine changes so that you don't lose
Yeah.
the routine, okay?
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
I have something called the habit hacking pie, PIE.
Hmm. Yeah.
These are the steps for changing a habit, for starting a habit, okay, a new habit. So the P stands for purpose. Why are
Yeah.
you doing this? We already mentioned how important it is in order to make any kind of change to have a really important reason.
Mm.
And it should be gut based and intrinsic, something real reason that you want to do this, formulated positively. All
Yeah.
of the shoulds and have tos are not going to cut it here. Okay. A should and a have to is not a purpose for changing. Nobody
Exactly.
changes because they should change. And I'll tell you that just right from the start. Doesn't work. Okay.
Mm.
So it's really important to have that purpose. So right now, I'm trying to increase mm, my meditation by adding an additional time at the end of the day, okay? Because I just came back from a meditation retreat and I'm all excited about it. So
Yeah.
I have a really deep, profound reason for doing that because after doing this really intensive meditation retreat, I actually felt the difference that it made in my ability to face the ups and downs of everyday life. And I thought, this is
Cool.
something I
Yeah.
want to nurture.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really, it helped my resilience. Okay. So P, I've got the P down. The next is
Mhm.
I. What is the I? I is identity. Identity is really important when you want to create a habit or undo a habit,
Mhm.
okay? It's how you see yourself. Now, I get a lot of people who say, "Oh, but I'm not somebody who meditates." Okay. If you're not somebody who meditates, you will never start a meditation habit. Okay. Because you don't
Exactly.
see yourself as somebody
Mhm.
who meditates.
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is to figure out who that identity is. Okay. And it's an identity that shapes the change that you want to make. If you want to have healthy eating habits, then you're somebody who loves healthy, fresh, whole food.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not somebody who's trying to lose weight, not the same identity, okay? Okay. So developing this identity is really helpful, and it's important to make sure that you really believe that it's possible that you can do what you do and that you want to do, and that you shift your self-talk in that direction. So
Yeah.
the difficulty I'm finding with establishing this meditation in the evening, I already have meditation in the morning. I've been meditating in the morning for years and years and years, not a problem, right? But in the evening is my time to not have any routines or rituals. It's so that's my identity, and right now, I'm having a really hard time changing that identity, okay,
Mm.
because 'cause
Yeah.
I'm facing internal resistance, okay?
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure out some self-talk to do that, but right now,
Mhm.
I haven't quite figured out what it is.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
So that's the I. The E is something I've already mentioned, which is make it easy. If you wanna start a
Mm.
habit, make it really easy.
Yeah.
Uh, that is easy to see. So I have my meditation space right here where I am all the time. Can't miss it.
Mm.
I will not forget my goal
Yeah.
of meditation. Okay.
Mm.
Easy to see, easy to do. My evening meditation is not yet set at an hour. Okay. Because I'm not there yet.
Mm.
Okay. And easy on you. Okay. That is comfortable. So it has to be visible, easy, and comfortable. That's
Yeah.
the E. Okay.
That's why you say start small,
That's why
probably.
you start
Yeah.
small. Exactly,
Is that also
exactly.
why they say if you want to install the habit of go running or jogging, get all your stuff in your shoes ready to just jump in?
Exactly. You
Yeah.
have them so that you trip over them when you get up in the morning so you don't forget, okay?
Yeah.
So you
Mm.
see it, and they're so comfortable, and you have all the clothes for the cold and the rain and the whatever could possibly happen
Yeah.
so that you don't
No
have any
excuse.
excuse and
Mm.
that you're comfortable. And then you set it as easy enough so that all you have to the minimum is to go outside, okay,
Mm.
with all of that on. And then at some point, you'll start running.
Yeah.
So the contrary, if you want to break a bad habit, the contrary works as well. You do the same thing. You have your purpose, you have your identity, and then you make it hard, so you make it invisible, okay? If
Yeah.
you don't wanna be on your phone at night, then you put your phone in the garage, okay? So you don't see it,
That's
okay?
very drastic. Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes this is what it takes,
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
So
Mm.
you
Yeah.
make it invisible, okay, or in a drawer. You make it hard to get to, so the
Yeah.
garage because then you can lock the door, and if you have to take out a key and go get it, you're not gonna do it. We don't
Mhm.
like to spend that kind of energy, okay? And
Yeah.
then you make it really uncomfortable so that if it's really hard for you to stop your phone, maybe you have an automatic camera that will stream you going to your phone in the garage on Facebook or something so that it's really uncomfortable and you have to face that shame, the walk of garage shame to your phone in the middle of the night or whatever,
Yeah.
okay? But make it
Yeah.
really uncomfortable.
Is that
That's how
also
you
why
break the
people
habit.
say inform other people of what you're going to do or what you're going to stop doing? So you have like kind of
Mm.
social control, or how do you feel
Yes and
about
no.
that? Mm.
Yes and sometimes the social aspect is helpful if they're doing it with you, okay?
Mhm.
That said, as soon as you tell everybody you're gonna do something, you got your dopamine rush, and so you lose all motivation because you got it just by telling people, okay?
Okay.
So if it's a really important goal to you, I would not necessarily tell people about it.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting. Once again, we are in biochemicals because this dopamine is a very important one in reaching a goal. And if you already are able to produce it by telling people about what you want to do,
Exactly.
then you lose that very important body chemical. as a stimulator. Is that correct?
That's correct, that's correct.
Oh,
And,
interesting.
so the other thing that happens is that's the difference between a wish and a goal, okay? If I wish okay, I always throw out this example, and it is not true. I'm just saying to the universe, it's not true. But anyway, I wish I could eat less chocolate.
Mm,
If I say that, I don't actually have to do anything more because all my brain wants to do is to be coherent with what I say.
with
And I've
wishing.
already wished it. So I'm done. So if you say, I wish I would go for that run in the morning, you're fine. You'll never go for that run in the morning. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the
Mm,
words that you use are really important because your brain listens to you. Okay.
that's
However,
true.
yeah,
Mm.
go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to say when I work with coaching clients and we talk about actions that they are going to take based on what we have been talking about, the way they express themselves in that action is
Mhm.
already for me an indication of if they are going to do it or not. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
The words they used, the body language, the tone, yeah, I could, or maybe, or whatever. And
I'll
when they say
try.
things like that, then I say, okay, let's see what is it that you need in order to make this a firm statement. Yeah.
Exactly,
Mm,
exactly. And this
yeah.
is all very important, because all of these little things will pile up and
Yeah.
will enable the change, whatever that change could possibly be.
Mm,
So
yeah.
after the pie, so you have your purpose and your identity and the E's, okay?
Hmm.
There are a couple of C's to keep in mind, okay? This
Seeds.
first C is the cue, okay? A habit is triggered by a cue, okay?
Hmm.
So for you, it's getting up in the morning and going into the kitchen or whatever is the first part of your ritual, okay? The other is celebration. Okay, and
Hmm.
celebration, and I don't mean reward, okay? We can reward ourselves, and reward works at the end. I've gone and I've done my running for 7 days in a straight, 7 days straight, wonderful. I can reward myself however I wanna reward. That's
Mm,
fine. That kind of reward works, but what I'm talking about is celebration, and again, it's a neurochemical thing, okay? Celebration is about just celebrating yourself with that rush of good feeling because you've done something that you said you were going to do,
mm.
okay?
It's
When
like
I do that,
acknowledgement.
yeah, acknowledgement, but feel it in your body. When I
Mm,
do it, I close my eyes, I see a bunch of confetti coming down on me and crowds clapping for me as I come into the stadium. That has never happened to me before in my life. However, I can perfectly well imagine how good that would feel. So
yeah.
I feel that good. And
It's like a
whenever
mental thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And when you do that, so for example, I get up in the morning, I put my running shoes on, I go outside, maybe I walk down the road a little bit, and I come back and I say, "That's good enough, first day out." I celebrate. I feel that.
Mm.
And then I'm gonna go on and go the next day.
It's about your intention. You express your intention, and the way that you express it makes it obvious if you're serious about that intention or not.
So what happens when you miss a trigger or a cue? That's what you were talking about. You miss it because of the circumstances are different. So it's really easy for the mind to fall into a trap to then, when a habit is new, to drop the whole thing. You
Mm.
know? Oh, no, can't do it, whatever.
Yeah.
The general rule, and I don't know what you do with your clients, so when they're working on change, and a general rule in the habit change world is that if you miss it once, okay, don't miss it twice.
You just start
And
again. Yeah.
yeah, you start
Because one of
again.
the things that happens sometimes is, yeah, yeah, I missed it or I missed it for 2 days. Forget it. No,
Exactly.
that's not what we're going to do. Yeah.
So I have a hack for this.
Oh, really?
And
Okay.
yes, I have a hack for this. Okay. I always have a plan B and a plan C.
Okay.
So
Explain.
if you have a ritual in the morning, say you want to set up this new habit of going running in the morning, and you sleep in because you had a late night and you had all those friends over and maybe a little extra wine or whatever. You don't get up, you don't do it. So that's plan A. Plan B is getting outside with those running shoes on at, say, noon.
Mm.
Plan C is putting the running shoes on, and walking on the treadmill while I'm answering some email. Okay. Whatever the plans are, so
Yeah,
that no matter what, you do something related to that habit,
I like that. Yeah. Mm.
particularly in the early phases.
Hmm.
This can be, and it applies to anything. So when you have an early morning for your clients, what's your plan B? What's your plan C?
Yeah. Yeah, as an entrepreneur, I can take these 10 minutes whenever I want to. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which, of course, a lot of people watching this or watching the replay might say, yeah, that's easy to say, but if I miss my moment in the morning, there's no more moments because I go to work, I'm fully booked all day, and at night I have the children and I have cooking and I have things at work. So it's that or nothing.
So plan B is not 10 minutes, it's 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. A minimum required, whatever. Okay.
Mm.
I say I have this really elaborate morning routine. I do a bunch of different things. I choose from this whole menu of wonderful things that I love to do in the morning. If I did it all back to back, it would be a couple of hours. I don't have that kind of time. So I pick and choose. And my rule is my plan B, or actually my plan C, is at least one thing, 1 minute, one thing. So I
Mm.
never, ever miss my morning routine.
Yeah.
And it may just be a minute or two of closing my eyes and just centering.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if you can't find a minute or two of for yourself at whatever time of day, then we need to have another discussion.
Yeah. Mm.
So there are all kinds of ways, and my invitation to everybody is to really think of it in terms of, no, this is my commitment. How am I going to make it possible no matter what?
Mm.
And when you ask me, what do I do when I go traveling all the time? Because maybe you travel a lot. A lot of remarkable people travel a lot. So, what's your travel routine? That's it. What is it? Okay. This is not rocket science. Just come up with a
Mm.
travel routine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's amazing how we are very creative and inventive for excuses. I once was in a program, a lifestyle program. It was pretty intense in terms of changing eating habits. And there was coaching. So there was a cohort every 2 months. It's an amazing program. So there was a cohort every 2 months, and it was like 800 people on this cohort.
Mm.
And then there was like a weekly coaching. And so they started there was a whole way of doing things. So they started light, and then every week they took away something from our menu. Okay. And so one certain moment, so a lot of people were on that program in order to lose weight, but a lot of other people were on the program in order to live healthy. And a lot of other people were there in order to get rid of certain conditions that were food related. I'm talking about
Mhm.
migraine and sleeplessness and leaky gut and things like that. But anyway, one moment we had to prepare a healthy drink in the morning with a lot of greens. And so in the coaching thing, it exploded like, I cannot do that. I travel, I go on holiday, I have
Mhm.
this is happening next week. And so they were like completely derailed and overwhelmed just by the idea that every morning they would have to mix a
Yeah.
fresh smoothie.
Yeah, and that's resistance. It's
And these
resistance
were
to
all
change.
adults, right?
Yeah, but it's resistance to change, and it's normal, and this is
Mm,
when I'm working with my clients, I'll often say, "How are you gonna remember to make whatever change you wanna make?"
mm,
Because your brain will immediately forget it because it requires energy to change, and so
mm,
you don't wanna spend energy, so you're not gonna change. So this has to be really intentional with commitment.
mm,
So earlier, Helena, you mentioned routines and what's the difference between habits and rituals.
mm,
Okay. So, first of all, what's the difference between a habit and a routine? Habits are based on cues, on triggers. I wake up in the morning, I turn the light on in the bathroom, I brush my teeth, I don't think about it. There's that stuff that goes on. Routines do not necessarily need a cue. Okay,
Yeah.
good
Okay.
enough. That doesn't really change a whole lot for all of us, but that's technically one way to differentiate them.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of so when you want to start a new habit, the easiest way to do it is to attach it to something you are already doing. It
Yeah.
makes it a whole lot easier. Okay.
Exactly.
After
Mm-hmm.
you brush your teeth, you go sit on the meditation pillow or whatever and do it then because you're already doing something. Makes it easier.
Yeah.
So that's called stacking. And we stack for efficiency. And you can stack in all kinds of ways. While you're boiling the water for your tea, maybe you can do some squats and then you get your little exercise in the morning.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Stacking.
Mm.
Okay. All kinds of ways to stack. And this is how we create routines. And
Yeah.
routines are really beautiful because they don't require a lot of energy, again, to implement. Once you
Mm.
get them going, it makes them really powerful. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need to think about it. You just do it. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the difference between a routine and a ritual is the intention that you put into it. A ritual has added mindfulness to it, which is what you were describing in your tea ritual.
Mm.
Okay? And psychologists have shown that rituals have a real impact on thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They enhance confidence and motivation and subsequent performance. High performing athletes perform pre game rituals, for example.
Absolutely. Mm.
It's very powerful. So, if we put all of this together, side by side, you have small actions, easy small actions. Okay. Plus stacking, attaching to stuff you already do. Okay. Building out your routine. So that's into a routine. You add intention
Mm.
and you get long term high performance in what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Beautiful. Yeah. How do you see the impact of this with the people you work with? And since we're here for remarkable females, do you see a difference in, yeah, maybe let's ask that question first. Do you see a difference in how women implement new habits and maintain them and how men do it?
I haven't actually thought about it in those terms.
Okay.
I think it's more individual than gender based
Okay. Mm-hmm.
because certain people have more are more trained in self-discipline. I think everybody can be self-disciplined if they want to be self-disciplined, but it can be harder for some people than other depending on what habits are already in place.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, women are a little bit more drawn to, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to respond to a people-pleasing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. That can get in the way of
That can get in the way
developing new
because
habits. Mm.
so one of the things that I say is that when you're building, and I've got 6 steps which I'd like to share with you as to how to build a routine. And one of the things is to really decide ahead of time what the exceptions are. And once they're decided, then that's it. Okay. What's more important to you than your routine? So, Helena, you've told me that your early morning clients are more important to you than your morning routine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice. As soon as it becomes a choice, then you'll go back to your routine whenever that choice is on the menu. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a problem. As soon as it's a choice. It's when you say, I have to,
Yeah.
because of whatever, that you're no longer in a place of choice. And
Yeah.
that becomes problematic for all of your routines and all of your desire to change.
Mm. Yeah.
Does that answer your
Becomes,
question?
yeah, it becomes also problematic for a lot more. Yeah, the have tos. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Mm.
So, the 6 things that are really important when you want to build up a routine are, first of all, to know your timing, your own personal timing. So I mentioned earlier my difficulty getting in this meditation in the evening because I am just like the morning person. I am up 4:35 in the morning without an alarm clock. I'm working, I'm doing my stuff. I'm just out there. And then in the evening, no, not there.
Hmm.
Not
Yeah.
there. Exceptionally tonight I am here for all of you. Generally speaking, not there. Okay?
Yeah.
But
Sometimes it's
every
also biorhythm, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. And everybody has their own natural rhythm.
Hmm.
Okay. So figure out what yours is. And then if you do things in the morning, then we'll put most of your routine in the morning. And if you do things in the evening, do them in the evening. And then figure out when you have high energy, when you have low energy, and design your routines based on when it will be easiest for you and when you have the best energy for whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
Okay?
Hmm.
So timing is really important. The second thing that's really important in developing routines that you will stick to is to do them your way, not somebody else's way. Not and there are all kinds of beautiful routines that people propose. This is the best routine in the morning and all of that. Okay, maybe for a while. But if you figure out your way to do it, your way that makes you feel good, that makes you excited, you're more likely to do it. You take full ownership of who you are, okay, and how you wanna do it. I am not gonna be somebody who has a morning routine of jogging. I tried it once. As a family, we decided we'd go jogging, okay, and of course, my teenage child at the time was off 3 times around the park before I even went
Yeah.
down, whatever, and my husband kindly would come and cheer me on, and I'd be like, "Oh, no," because I just don't run. And after 2 days, they both said, "You don't run."
Yeah.
And I said, "No,
Just
I
find
don't run."
another find
Yeah,
another
right.
habit.
I'll do something else. Okay? I will do
Yeah.
something else. Just doing it your way. And there's a notion of enjoyment that is really important for one to feel success in a routine and a habit.
Mm.
That's the second step. The third
Mhm.
step is to build up a ritual or a routine step by step. Always a little bit at a time, again, because of the ease thing, until you can have your whatever elaborate thing you wanna do. I always like to also use things like starts and stops. The
Mhm.
start of your day is a great time for a routine. The end of the day is a great time for a routine. The start of
Yeah.
your work day is a great time for a routine or ritual. The end of your work day. The start of a meal, the end of a meal. Starts and
Yeah.
stops are great moments.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that. Thank you for bringing that to my awareness. Yeah.
So after that, you have commitment. Commitment is extraordinarily important.
Mhm.
There's a huge difference between I'm 99% committed to doing this and I'm 100% all in.
Yeah.
If you say, I think I'm going to do this, we were talking about this earlier, then you're not really committed. That one percentage is this huge door to absolutely every excuse in the world.
Yeah. Mm.
It's enough to get for procrastination and self doubt and excuses to get in.
Mm.
So 100% commitment. And I'd love to share in the comments wherever I'm going to do that. I don't know if I post it here, if it will go out. But
It won't, but we will put all the links to
okay.
information or going deeper in the comment below, place where we put this conversation. Yeah, it
Okay,
will
it's
be.
because I'd like to share. I have, I call it, I have a playbook called the Commitment Catalyst, which is just a whole bunch of exercises you can do when you want to commit to something that will help you to commit to what you're doing.
Mm.
Mhm. So I'm happy to share that with you,
Wonderful.
and we'll put that
Mm.
in there.
Thank you so
100%
much.
in really works. So commitment is really important. The next thing, and this is something nobody ever talks about, is pulsing. Going on and off. So pulsing, what does that mean? It means on and off. It means sometimes it is a good idea to stop your routines and then start them up again. Okay. So vacation is a great thing. Do something different.
Yeah.
It's finding the balance between structure, your routine, and flexibility. Sometimes you do it, sometimes you don't, by choice. not by external forces, but by choice. And when
Mhm.
you integrate that in, then we can keep our routines longer. We don't get bored. We love change. People love change. Everybody's complaining about change, but we love to change all the time because it
Mm.
keeps us occupied. It keeps us
Yeah,
motivated. So that's why I have this whole list of things I can put in my morning routine. My morning routine is never the same. It's always a little bit different. It's more or less the same, right? But it keeps
I
me
like that.
interested.
Yeah, I like that you have a menu of things that all have the same purpose. That
Exactly.
way you can choose. Yeah,
And this
absolutely.
is a really huge hack when it comes to habits and routines is to set up the structure and then give yourself flexibility in the structure.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mm.
If I wake up in the morning and I'm really exhausted for whatever reason, I still get up and I still go outside, but I don't do the same things that I do when I'm not exhausted. Period. And
Yeah.
I'm okay with myself because I stick to my routine and my
Yeah.
day is just fine afterwards. Okay?
Mm. Yeah.
So flexibility and structure. And then the final thing is that at least one thing rule that I have, that I will always do at least one thing rule, at least one thing in my routine or my habit.
Mm.
So that I'm so that I keep my own word to myself.
Yeah.
And that creates this foundation of integrity with myself
Mhm. Yeah,
and
absolutely. Very important.
and
Yeah.
therefore confidence.
Hmm.
Okay. It, did we lose connection? Huh. I
I
don't
don't think.
can you
What do you mean lose connection? I think it is. No, we did not. We're still
okay,
live. We're
okay,
still
great.
live. Yeah. Probably it's something on her end. If she loses, she will not hear any instructions for that anyway. So hope she comes back. Yeah, let's just
Okay,
continue. No worry, Anne.
okay. So a couple of good questions to ask yourself when it comes to your routines is I've mentioned it already. What is more important to me than my ritual? So it may be your family, it may be your dog, it may be whatever. What's more important to you? Travel, perhaps, whatever. So that you already know ahead of time, so you don't have to negotiate with yourself. You just know, okay,
Yeah.
this takes precedence, no problem. I'm okay with that. And I think it's important to communicate those things to the people around you. I usually go to bed very early and everybody knows it.
Hmm.
Even people who come over for dinner, and I will leave them at the dinner table, and I'll just go to bed. Everybody knows it, okay?
Yeah.
So
It's not personal. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
what you
yeah.
need. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Mm.
And I also believe that there's something very important about finding a balance between self-compassion and being a hard ass with yourself.
Hmm.
It takes discipline to get habits in place and routines in place and to keep them up. It does. We need to push ourselves from time
Mm.
to align with our goals. Okay? And we need to have some self compassion. That's where I like the structure and flexibility because you can have your self compassion without giving up on your structure
Yeah,
in a
absolutely.
way that doesn't impede the development of the habit and the rituals.
Mm.
Most important is that I don't judge myself,
Yeah.
right? Because, you know, sometimes it is what it is. And
Hmm.
so there really is this balance to find it to find.
Yeah.
And sometimes we just don't want to do them, particularly in the early phases. And that's when you don't want to have too much self compassion. Okay?
Mm. Yeah.
I'll throw in another playbook that I have on grit, which is all about developing that in the long haul perseverance
Yeah.
that you need.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Yeah. I'm thinking that this whole implementation of new habits or getting rid of old habits that don't serve you anymore, it's also a lot about the relationship you have with yourself, the
Mm,
commitment, the confidence, the trust, the
mm,
non judgment. the kind but firm. It is very important to understand that the relationship we have with ourselves and the way that we look at ourselves is very impactful in terms of also in embodying new habits and new routines. Because if we hit ourselves on the head every time that something has not been perfect in terms of this habit stacking or implementation, it's not a very powerful place to work from.
Exactly, exactly. And that leads really nicely into the other point I wanted to bring up, because we have a lot of leaders in this group of people who are
Mhm.
showing up. And that's that all of this applies to organizations as well,
Yeah.
and teams. And when you can build habits with teams.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Are you keeping your word? Are you doing it? Are you kind? And is there a structure and flexibility? It's the same principles
Yeah.
that apply. Your own personal habits and the changes that you can make positive can have a positive impact on your team and on your organization, right? Because you become a role model.
Mhm.
And there's fantastic research about how rituals, such as regular, never missed one-on-ones with team members focused on the teams and on the team members and not on your agenda, can make a huge difference. So you ritualize this encounter that is focused on the team member.
Mm.
And these have huge impact throughout organizations.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I was thinking then, okay, with all of that in mind, what's one thing that you and anybody who's following along will do in the next week regarding habits or rituals or routines?
I'm very curious to see some feedback in the comment box for those of you who are here live, and please feel free to do that also if you watch the replay, because we will just check it and follow up. For me, Anne, what I'm very grateful for that you brought here is that you can create like a menu of habits
Mhm.
in a way that if your energy level is low, or if you have less time, or if whatever happens, you can pick something that does serve your purpose, still have it, and doesn't bring the problem that you have other commitments or engagements, or you don't have the energy or whatever, but that you still can do something. I like that. I
Mm.
Personally, I like it more than plan B and plan C, although these
Okay.
are also very good ideas. But having this menu and like shorter and longer versions and a variety of habits, especially for the morning rituals, which are for me extremely important, that is a very good one that I will absolutely, tomorrow morning, I will, after my call it habit or ritual, I mean, after my 10 minutes, I will start making that menu of possibilities that if the 10 minutes don't work, or if I want to have a variation, I can do something else. Absolutely
Nice.
appreciate that one. Yeah, I love it.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Mm.
And share with us what changes for you.
Yeah, I will. It's another thing, like I already know that you absolutely exclude all excuses.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
already know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely excluding all excuses. Because, like you say, you can do something 3 minutes. You can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's okay.
And it's okay. Absolutely.
And it's okay,
Mm,
because
exactly.
what it means is that you're being consistent.
Yeah. And you stay true to yourself and to the commitment that you had with yourself, because this is what it is about, really. It is about the commitments that we make to ourselves. And
Mm,
if we systematically break those promises and commitments, what is the impact on the relationship that we have with ourselves? If you would do that
exactly.
with somebody else, we all know what the impact would be.
Right.
And
Right.
it's the same with us, right? Yeah,
And let's not kid ourselves. It's not only with ourselves, it's also the role model that we set to the people around us.
absolutely
You know,
true. Yeah,
if we keep breaking, the promises we make to ourselves, I don't know. I don't know how much anybody's going to want to hang around me
Yeah,
if I don't keep the word to myself.
yeah,
Then it's not a very good model.
exactly. What worked for me also, or what still works for me, especially if I want to stop with something, stop with certain habits, is I have my future self in mind. And every
Hmm.
time I'm like at this almost doing it and not doing it, it's like keeping in mind, okay, what would the best version of this person that I want to become do here?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And
you
if
take
we're
on that
talking about,
identity. Yeah.
yeah, especially if
Yeah.
we're talking about health and things like
Yeah.
that, I have a chocolate. I just love chocolate, let's say it that way. And so sometimes when like you say, I make sure I don't have it, but sometimes I do have it in the house. And then I open the fridge or the cupboard, depending on how warm it is here in the south of Spain. And I open it and then I think, what would a very healthy Helena do right now?
Mm.
Yeah, close the
Okay.
fridge.
A very healthy Anne would just buy darker chocolate. But anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I do that sometimes too, but it's not the same. It's
Yeah.
not the same. But anyway, yeah. But
But
having that who I want to become in mind, if I want to, yeah,
mm,
this
yeah.
is also apparently helping with people who want to stop smoking or, quit
Well,
drinking or other
e
unhealthy habits.
exactly, and that, for me, is that whole identity piece.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
not who you want to become, it's who you are now, okay?
Hmm.
Who
Yeah,
you are now, and that's that piece that gets involved. I think changing bad habits is also a lot about building your environment in such a way that it's really hard. When I wanna stop eating chocolate, I don't buy chocolate. Right?
exactly.
It's just it's just not in the
Yeah.
house,
And
right?
I don't see my friends who eat chocolate all the time and go to a
Yeah.
terrasta where you have chocolate
Yeah,
cake
chocolate
and things like that. Yeah.
and yeah, you have to create an environment that's conducive to whatever change you wanna make.
Beautiful.
And there are
Mm,
moments when I will just tell my husband, I'll say, "Hey, we're not having wine in the house. If you wanna drink, go to the cafe with your friends." Just because I wanna take a break, and I know if there's a bottle of wine open, I'll have a glass,
yeah.
okay? So
Mhm.
I set up the space that
Yeah.
enables that. I see there's a question about,
Yes, and we still have
accountability.
some minutes. Yes.
Okay. So I think accountability is a really interesting topic. We could do a whole other,
New session about that one. Yeah.
session about that. However, yes, but by all means, get
Mm,
yourself an accountability partner.
mm,
As I said earlier, an accountability partner is somebody, it helps if they're doing it with you or they're doing something similar so that there's a shared commitment rather than having just somebody with a whip saying, go do it, whatever. It doesn't have exactly the same effect. Presumably, if that works for you, it works for you. And bear in mind that if it's just announcing it to a whole bunch of people, that's not accountability. That's just getting a dopamine fix by saying, "Oh, I'm gonna do this wonderful thing," and then it's gonna be really hard to do it, okay? So, it's finding that balance between, although, as I mentioned earlier, if you sometimes, like, public shame can be really motivating for if you're so it's a mix. You have to figure out what works for you,
yeah.
but if it doesn't work,
Because
then it
it's not
doesn't
really a
work. It's
purpose, isn't it? Not
yeah.
to be shamed in public is not the purpose that will help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it really depends. Sometimes it works. I know, for example, spite works for me. Somebody tells me I can't do it, and I'll do it in spite of what you said. Sometimes I can work little things out. When and years ago when I wanted to smoke, my general practitioner knew that about me and just said, "Oh, I know you're never going to stop smoking." And I'm like, "Watch me." And I crunched up the cigarette packet and I threw it out and I never ever smoked again. Okay.
Mm,
I did make his life pretty difficult for about a month because I'd call him all the time saying, "Oh my God, what do I do?" kind of thing. However, it worked. Okay. So I
mhm,
know that's a motivation for me, and everybody has their little things.
mhm. Yeah. Just become aware of them and use them. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Beautiful. And our time is up, and you have given us so much information and nuggets and tips and strategies, and then the downloadables that we will put in the comments here below. And I can only invite everybody who's here or who is listening to the replay or watching the replay, connect with Anne. in order to find out more about this habit practices and stacking. As you can see, she knows a lot about it. She has a lot of experience, not only for herself, but also to support other people that want to implement new habits or get rid of old habits that are not serving them anymore. So connect with Anne and see how she can support you. And just go there and find the habits that make your life beautiful and nice and that create a better world, and just get rid of the ones that are not good. And we sure can all think of some of those, right? And thank you so much for joining us. Although it's not your habit to do this after 7 p.m., thank you so much for being here, for sharing, for being so generous. Looking forward to download your material and use it in order to deepen. And as I said, my main lesson learned here is to create that menu in the morning. And so that means I will think of you every morning as of now. Good. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure. I love talking about this stuff. So anybody, reach out to me anytime, and I am happy to talk more about this. I just love this stuff.
That's very obvious. Thank you so much, Anne.
Yeah.
And for everybody
Okay.
that was here, thank you for being here. Make it a habit. Join us every week. We are here on Mondays with Power Talks for Remarkable Females. Of course, men are also very welcome. And this is what we want to do. It's a habit for us to bring you stuff that helps you create a better life for everybody. So thank you so much for being here, for participating, for being with us, and looking forward to see you again. Take care. Bye. See you
Thank
next
you,
week.
everybody. Bye.
Bye.